Cassandra, how are you doing today? Glad you could make it. All right, so today we are going to finish up the project. We're going to go into the assets panel. We're going to do the interactivity, which is a lot of fun. So we've got a lot of fun stuff. As I mentioned yesterday, that we are going to do, I think we're going to have probably 5 really short videos over the span of that spans over the hour to demonstrate everything that we need to do this week. So with that being said, let's move on. So for today's agenda, we're gonna finalize the XD project. That is with the assets panel. We should be doing a color panel. We're gonna define character styles as well as symbols. So a lot of fun stuff. Then we're gonna add the interactivity. And finally, gathering feedback is gonna be, we have 2 options on what we can do with this project. We can either record a very, very short video. And as I mentioned yesterday, the cool thing about that is we don't have to talk. And it's only gonna be about 30 or 40 seconds. So it allows you to test the user experience. Another way is to, if you don't wanna do that, you can upload the interactive project to your Adobe account, and then I will be able to follow the interactivity by viewing it that way. So there's a couple ways to do this, but they're very, very easy to do. So any questions on what we have scheduled for today? All right, well, let's move in to the course really quick, and let's just kind of review what we have for today. Again, we went over this yesterday, but I want everyone to be on the same page. We are going to finalize the device. That includes making the required changes. We're going to add interactivity and motion between the artboards. Once this is done, then the assessment is 90% of the way complete. Make sure you are double checking and looking at the rubric to make sure that you see what you are being graded for. I pointed this out yesterday as well. As we move into the assessment, this is where we add the interactivity. Again, we have 2 methods. I'm going to go over them both. They're very short, very quick, and very easy. So again, if you complete the assignment, the assessment's pretty much done for you. Andrea, welcome. All right, any questions up to this point? All right, well then we're going to move forward. All right, building a website process. Cassandra, very good question. I've been doing this from week 1. We have videos that I create this project. So it's in stages. So if you go back and watch the recordings, then you will see each stage of the design process that we've gone through. So yes, I already have created one, but it's in shorter sections, and it is demonstrating the assignment. Does that answer your question? Or does that help? So we're not building a website. We're designing the user interface for each device. We have 3 devices, and we're building the interface. We're designing the interface. We're planning the user experience. So this is our 3rd and final stage. And as I said, as I mentioned earlier, that there are shorter videos on beginning back in week 1 on just the interface of XD, creating the sitemap, which is the first stage, creating the wireframe. Along each step of the way, I talk about my design process, my rationale, how each design decision affects the user experience. All right, let's move on. So let's talk about the assets panel. And as an employer, what does this project that you've been creating for the last 3 weeks, what does it show them? What are some things that this project would show them? It demonstrates your critical thinking skills. It demonstrates how you were able to solve their design problem. And in our case, the user interface, right? How the design of the user interface creates an engaging user experience. It also demonstrates your understanding of visual hierarchy and the proper application of the 4 principles of design. So how can the assets panel, which is what we're going to learn about, how can it solve some of these design issues that we've identified along the way, and some of the challenges, such as, you know, the principles of design, for example? Can it solve those or help strengthen those? Well, yes, it definitely can. So let's quickly review the assets panel. As we discussed yesterday, when you're designing for multiple devices, which we are, we're designing for the website, the mobile, the phone, and the tablet. So when you're designing for those multiple devices, really you're going to be using and you're going to be duplicating many graphical design elements. Well, this is where the assets panel comes into play, because the assets panel is definitely going to bring this huge productivity boost, as we talked about yesterday, to your XD workflow. It is definitely a huge time saver because it allows us to save time through managing all the assets, like the colors, which we're going to create today, the character styles or your type, and the symbols. These are elements that you would be reusing throughout all the pages of each device. So another advantage, or one of the main advantages of using the XD, the assets panel, is that you are able to edit, and this is cool, instantly update the colors. So we can instantly update the colors, we can instantly update the symbols, and we can instantly update the character styles throughout the entire project. That means each artboard for each device. How cool is that? So let's jump into XD, and here's my XD project. You can see here's my website, my phone, and my tablet. Let's now just look to see, let's review where these assets are. So remember, down here at the bottom left-hand corner, it's on the PC as well. If I click on this, this is my assets panel. So you can see right here is where my colors are going to be stored. I don't have colors created yet, but we will be adding those into this. This is where my character styles will be added to. Again, I don't have anything in here. But you can see right here the components. These are components, are also symbols. You can see that I have several symbols in here. Also next to the symbols are, some of these symbols are these links in a red oval. That indicates they are symbols that were brought in from the UI kits, but they are broken links. The cool thing about some of these symbols are this, that I can highlight the symbols. So like you can see I've got one created for the logo, but if I just right click on it and say highlight on the canvas, it'll say it's not found. So it's not, even though I created one, I'm not using it. The same goes for, let's look for maybe the Facebook, highlight on the canvas. Okay, Facebook it's going to be very small here. You can see it's highlighted with blue. If I zoom into here, it's highlighted in blue, saying, okay, that's where it's at. So it will identify where it's at. If I highlight on the canvas, you can see there's my Twitter. Here's another Facebook. Let's see if we have this one on here. Highlight on canvas, and it's got to be somewhere else. I believe it's probably my phone. There it is right there. So you can see I have several symbols. Other symbols, if I highlight on the canvas, the bookmark, Remember the bookmark that we took yesterday from the sticker sheet component. One of those XD files that we had, we could bring that in. The same with the share button. Right click, highlight on the canvas, and there it is. So you can see where it highlights it by blue. We have this one right here, a highlight on the canvas, and it says it's not there. So what I like to do is, and you're going to find in your XD file, depending on what you brought in, you know, for example, if you copied an entire pasteboard that had all of the a bunch of icons in from one of those UI kits, then you're going to see this populated with all those. It can create clutter. So you can also delete these. So you can just delete that. If I look at this one, highlight on the canvas. Okay, well, that one's in there. That one's in there. I know that this one is not, so I can delete that one. Again, it's a matter of preference, but I don't like to have, you know, a list of 100 components here or symbols, because it makes it kind of slows down my workflow. It makes it harder for me to find and identify these. So, you know, I would encourage you to take a few minutes to make sure that all of these are being used, and it's just by highlighting them on the canvas that will show you where they are. So if you don't get the error that the 0 instances are found, then you're good to go. So that right here is something I don't need, so I can get rid of that, and it'll probably say it's not there anymore. So let's just delete that. So again, it's just kind of a way to clean out all the clutter and make you work more efficiently. All right, so now what we want to do is create a symbol. We want to create a symbol that defines the design elements that we're going to be using. So you really want to take some time to do this. You have to kind of look at the elements that are repeated throughout each device. If you look here, if I start at my website, I have these buttons. And as we know, we want these buttons to be the same size because that is a repetitive design element. So that's one element I can turn into, one design element I can turn into a reusable symbol. Look at my navigation bar across the top. That is another commonly used element that should be identical, a repetitive design element from page to page. Correct? So what do we do to change or to create one? One thing I want to, let's just point this out here. Let's take, actually, let me backtrack. Let's take this, this navigation bar. And to make this a symbol, it's very easy. Again, one of the advantages or great advantages of using symbols is that any change you make to one is going to update all instances throughout your XD project. So, for example, what would the advantage be, if any, to make the navigation menu a symbol? Well, the advantage of making this navigation menu a symbol would be if text needed to be renamed. I wouldn't have to go back in and rename every single one. I could just do it on one and updates them all. That's kind of cool, isn't it? So let's take a look at this a little bit closer. Now, there are a couple ways of creating a symbol. First, we can select all the design elements. So if I want this bar and I want the text to be a symbol. Okay, I can highlight that. And over here in the component, all I'm going to do is click on the plus. That says add. So there's my add. Okay, so there I've added that. It says component 20. It'll keep going, 21, 22, 23, etc. And it'll go on and on and on. I'm going to undo that. Another way is I can highlight it, I can right click it and make component. Or if you are a keyboard shortcut fan, which I am, you can hit Command or Control K So Command K on the Mac, Control K on the PC. And then you'll see it pop in there. So now we have a new component. So how do I know it's a symbol? Well, now look at this. Look at what you see right here. It's highlighted in green. The bounding box is green. Versus this, it's blue. So this is green. That says that it is a symbol. Now, how do we edit the symbol? First off, let's go over here and we can rename this. I like to rename it because it makes it easier for me to identify what it is. So if I just right-click, I can rename. I could name this something, web navigation menu. You name it whatever you want, something that's easily identifiable. I am going to, let's just zoom out of this a little bit. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to get rid of all these. So I get rid of that one. I'm going to get rid of this one. And I'm going to get rid of this one. Why? Because I'm going to now add that symbol to these other pages here. So I want you to, one thing that I'm going to show you the advantage of this. If you look at this, there's a typographical error going across the top that you can see. So the cool thing about working with symbols is that I can add multiple copies of it. So let's just take this for example. Let's just copy this. And then as we know that by highlighting these artboards, I just click, I shift click, I can paste it and it pastes them into identical position. Repetition. So now all 4 artboards have a typographical error. You follow me? You're with me? Any questions up to this point? Okay, so to correct this, let's see if we can just go in here and change this to our services. And look at that. Our services, our services, our services. It fixed it on each artboard. How cool is that? That is the power of a symbol. So all instances of this symbol were updated. So let's do one other thing. Let's take our type tool and then maybe we want contact us. Okay, so I'm just going to add the word contact. And now let's just look at that. Contact us, contact us, contact us. That is cool. So we have created a symbol for that. Now, let's create another symbol. We're going to add color to these later, but we can't add color until we've created our color theme. This example right here, this is a symbol, right? This is a symbol. Well, we know how to add the symbols. I select the 2 objects. I then come up to the components and hit the plus and it adds it. Let's rename it. So we're going to rename this and maybe I'll change this to, since everything is, this is web, that's my identifiable. I know it's for the web and I can just say, learn more. Okay, perfect. And then let's take and let's just get rid of these. This is going to be very quick, easy. We're going to drag this symbol and let's just drag this symbol right out to here. And let's use our alignment panel, that wonderful tool. I can copy this by holding the Option key down or the Alt key and drag this. And we know that even if I'm off a little bit, we can, I'll do the same thing here. We're just going to put our alignment panel to play. If I select all of these, you can see they're not aligned and we do want alignment. So here's our alignment panel at the top. Everything's aligned. Now let's just align each one of these individually because we want alignment this way. Remember, alignment, all elements must be visually connected to another element in the design. So I align this to the left. We'll do the same with this one. We want this aligned to the left of the frame, which is aligned to the image. Look how fast this is accomplished. Okay, so now we have symbols here. Let's add some symbols right here. So we'll add those 3 other symbols here. Let's just drag. Look how easy this is. I can drag it. I can put this right here. I'm going to align this to my vet. Actually, I'm going to move our vets down just a little bit more. And then I'll select this and that, and we can align. So we're in perfect alignment, and we'll copy this. We just copy, you know, if you hold the shift key down, it constrains it. And then I can precisely align. I can select this one, this image, make sure that they're aligned. Actually, I want them all aligned together. This one is extending a little bit further out. So you can see how it's off. There we go. And the reason this one aligned to this one, because this is the wider shape. So I know that everything is aligning to the widest frame. Attention to detail, which is what we've talked about yesterday as well. All right. So let's just make sure all of this is aligned precisely. There we go. Okay, so we have our learn more. The contact, it's only being used one place, so I'm not going to create another or a symbol for that, as well as this one. I could if I wanted to. If you want more practice at it, hey, that's something you should do. You would also create symbols for these down here. So, you know, I have 4 symbols. I would want to create a symbol for them. These are smaller, so I'm not going to use the same one. So let's just take this. You want to make sure that you are selecting both the objects, and then we hit plus. We can rename, and this will be the iPhone Learn More. Perfect. And then I could do, you know, I would drag these out here too. So let's just get rid of this, and this. And let's just show how fast this is. Looks like, look at the spacing here. Notice my spacing, it says 10. I want that same spacing down here below. So if I highlight these, I can make sure that they are aligned. I hold my Option key down. That allows me to move it. Select, align. I can select both of these. Hold my Option or Alt key down and move these. If I hold my Shift key down, it constrains it. And there we go. Look, that's the same space. You can see that. Perfect. Now we're set. I definitely need to learn more over here. I don't have one. Okay, well, let's just copy this one, or I can drag out another one. Maybe I'll just drag out another one here. And then I want both of these aligned, so I can align that. Why am I aligning everything from device to device? I want consistency. There we go. Do we have, we don't need to make this another one. Although if that's the same size as what I have on my website, it's something I probably could use. So maybe I'll just do that and drag that one down in here. It looks like it is about the same size. Okay, perfect. That was good planning. It might be a little bit larger, but I think it'll still work for this site here. And I'll make sure it's aligned. Look at that. And I have a subscribe, and I'm not going to make one for the subscribe. So I've got, you know, common elements. I would stay away from logo, because the logo is the same regardless of what you use. So you're not going to be making any updates to it. So you want to think about symbols that would be changing, that you would make an update to if you wanted to. So for example, this one, if I wanted it to be, if I wanted to change to be, just a square, does that change them all? Look at that. So that changed them all on this page, or on this, for this device. But I'm not changing this information up here. Any of this stuff I won't be changing. I'm not going to be changing my icon, so it's not necessary to make an icon as a symbol. So just think, as I said earlier, you want to give some, careful thought into what is going to be, what type of element is going to be used throughout each device. So we can go back into here and we can change this. And look, they're all update. Is that cool or what? Any questions on creating symbols? Again, we're going to add color shortly. So we're going to stop the video and we are going to then move on to color.